That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What is going on, OneCast fans? Joining us for Fishing Friday. I apologize. We are having one technical difficulty. It doesn't want to connect to our OneCast fishing page. So if you're seeing this either in the group or on Pete Chandrick Fishing, just go ahead and jump into those to watch it. I'm not sure what's going on there. We edited the title a little bit ago because of who we had come on with us. So that could be the issue. Ben, you should be able to share it from my page to OneCast Fishing. But it's showing as we're live everywhere else. So hopefully we are.
You gotta love Facebook.
But OneCast Fishing is not working. So
You gotta love it.
you gotta love Facebook. They are difficult.
The book of faces.
It
It really is.
But so we have Destin Demarion joining us tonight.
With his lovely daughter.
And it is live on mine. So
we're live on YouTube too.
So if you want to share it from my personal page to the OneCast page, because I can't because it's mine. But we'll get it shared up there. And in a minute, if you're not here with us, what's going on, Nick? What's going on, Facebook user? Thanks. Glad you like the shirt. I think that's probably Brad. So what's going on, Brad? But so today, we were just going to do the three of us running our traps for all of you to listen to. But we decided to. I was actually talking to our friend Destin Demarion, who's been on the show earlier, and I said, "Hey, man, what are you doing tonight? You want to jump on and talk some fishing with our followers and answer some questions and things like that?" So we got Destin here with us. I'm going to bring him on. He also has his lovely little girl, Ava, his daughter, there with him. He's pulling dad duty. So we're going to add Destin in here.
Hey, guys.
What's going on, dude?
I know, right?
I know. It's just been a couple days.
It actually feels good because I feel like we went a long time without actually seeing each other. We did that one podcast episode, but we've seen you at the Classic, every day.
He was chasing us down on the highway.
I was like, hey, it's the OneCast guys. I need to catch up with them.
He's right. Like, let me go ahead and pull a pit maneuver and knock them off the road real quick.
Yeah, ran us down on the highway. So,
what's up, man? How was your trip to North Carolina?
It was good, man. I was fortunate. We had some decent weather, as you guys know. We had that one little rain day, but other than that, it was comfortable. Got to run around bugs. Never spent any time there, so that was nice to go do that. And I have to give a shout out to my buddy Danny Wicker for letting me crash his place and coming out and fishing with me. So thanks, Danny, and about 1 million other people, because I've already ran into about 1 million other people on the trip that have been super nice. And it's nice to have a lot of friends around the country. It's pretty, feel like a big blessing, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Did you ever while you were down here, over here, whatever, why is it called Bugs? Do you know?
Well, so it's weird because the actual lake is Kerr Reservoir, but they call it Bugs Island. I think it must be a border war. If we're on the Virginia, it's like, if we're on Virginia, we call it Bugs. If we're on North Carolina, we call it Kerr.
Yeah. A border war.
Is there an island there called?
I don't know.
I'm not aware of one. I don't know.
I wonder if Bugs Island is where the big bites are at. I'm tired of catching 2-pounders out there.
There's plenty of them there. It's hard to not catch a 2-pounder.
So that's awesome, man. Your trip went well. You got to run around the lake a little bit, do some scouting and stuff for your elite qualifier event that's coming up in, what is that, May?
Yeah, so it's last week of April, first couple days of May.
Awesome.
But it cuts off Monday, so I wanted to go check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we obviously want to talk about your first EQ a little bit, but so how is that rule change? So it's off limits starting Monday, right? Is that 30 days or 28 days before official practice?
Yeah, I think 28, but it's about a month.
Okay, and then you can get back on when official practice starts.
Yes, correct. It's different than the elites in that, like, once the elite schedule comes out, you can't get any information, or you can't, talk about it all. But in the EQs, you still can talk about it up until official practice.
You just can't be on the body of water.
Correct, for 28 days. Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because my buddy is like, "Hey, dude, there's a tournament at Bugs on Saturday, but you can't be on the lake all week because it was a CBC or something." He's like, my partner's fishing with somebody else. We should go fish it. And I was like, well, if I do that, I can't go pre-fish. So
Right.
it ended up getting canceled tomorrow because of the wind. So it worked out.
Yeah.
I made the right choice. Thank you.
Yeah. So all of you coming over from the OneCast Fishing main page, you missed a couple minutes. I apologize about that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. We made a title change like 15 minutes before we went live, just to let you know that Destin was to come on with us. And for some reason, it wouldn't let us connect. So I just deleted that and reset it. And you're on here with us now. So if you're coming to us there, we appreciate you joining. Destin was talking about pre-fishing Bugs Island, or for some, I think it's only us in North Carolina call it Car. I call it Car.
Yeah, so my buddy
Lake.
Danny calls it Car Lake.
Car Lake. Yeah. So and that's Mike Schnupp said he got to stay with me at the Classic. That's a win in itself. Yeah. I mean, anytime you get to hang out with Mike.
I got to give Mike, he's one of my best friends. I need to give him a shout out because I stayed with them at the Classic, and I don't know if you guys want to get into that, but he had one heck of a week.
Really?
Yeah.
It might be entertaining to delve into that.
Yeah. So
drop it.
I mean, you were there. You might want to tell the story. I got to see a little bit of the aftermath when he finally made it to the Classic. But
yeah. So before the Classic, he was cleaning off his boat and he was sweeping his hand across, like after he was cleaning up some like jackets and stuff, and swept his finger right through a hook. So it went the whole way through the bottom of his finger, out his fingernail.
Oh, wow.
And he was pinned to the carpet. So his daughter, who's I think she's 17 now, was the only one there. So he was trying to get her to help him get the hook out and stuff, and he ended up having to, I believe, to clip the barb out and pull it back through.
Ooh.
To be able to get it out of his hand. Yeah.
That is no fun. So I went my entire fishing life without doing that, sticking my fingers, and it's happened twice in the last year.
Oh gosh.
One was down at Watery, and a buddy of mine, we met up and he did the braid trick on me. But the last one, I was able to cut the barb out and push it through, no problem.
Yeah, you were all the way through. I saw the picture Mike put up, and it wasn't through yet. So
yeah,
he had to.
Rough.
I feel like it always happens at the worst time. I think the last time I did it, I was by myself with a spook and like a 4-inch bass, and I was like, yeah, this is always then it happened, and I was and then the time before that was with a jerk bait, and my at the time like 9-year-old son was with me. He was helpless, and it always happens at the worst time.
Those jerkbaits that's what got me the last time.
Yeah. Them fish always get to thrash when they got a jerk bait in their mouth.
Yeah.
And
You got 3 treble hooks bouncing around. Yeah.
I feel like you cheated on us, so you should have stayed with us. We had plenty of beds. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I asked Mike well before, so yes.
That's
I would have
fine.
loved to
Next
stay with
time.
you guys and had to deal with your septic tank problem.
yeah, well, that wasn't the end of Mike's woes for Classic Week.
Yeah,
he had the other thing happen.
So it started with that, and then he was rubbing his eye the first day of the show, and it just like swelled up shut basically by the end of the day. It just kept getting worse, and it was really red and stuff. We went to his son's baseball game after, and he coached. He was assistant coach, and he went up going to the ER that night with his wife and got a bunch of steroid shots and antibiotics and stuff. And then the last day, which it started to come down a little bit by the next day, but it still was pretty swollen. Then the last day, we all went out to dinner. Me, Tim from Angler Tungsten, his wife, Mike and his family, and Mike chipped his tooth.
I didn't know that.
Roadhouse. So
Man,
Mike had quite a week.
Yeah,
comes in threes. I
guess you're never staying with him again.
Yeah.
Well, nothing bad happened.
as long as the bad stuff keeps happening to Mike, maybe he's safe. He's taking that juju off Destin.
I stayed at Mike's. it was Harris chain because he used to live in Apopka, and he had to get off the boat to go do his business. And the boat was kind of like, it was really shallow, so it was like kind of up on a little cliff to get up there. So the boat started swinging back, and he jumped off. Like the bank basically eroded. And he like jumped off, and had like all these ants on him. And
man.
dude, it was. He's had some crazy stuff happen, but I mean, Mike and I always just laugh about everything. It's just funny. It's good stories for both of us.
Yeah. Well, it's part of it.
Stories about.
Yeah.
It's part of it, right? You travel all over the place. We talked about it a little bit when we talked about the sewer. If you go on the road and you travel places and you fish and you do things, stuff like that happens. Mike, he did throw all your business out there.
I forgot one other one.
We appreciate the entertainment for everybody.
There's more.
What else could
wait,
have
there's
happened?
more.
Wait, there's more.
There's one more. So Mike had a house guest staying for the for the BPT right before I got there, and he forgot that his extension cord was plugged in the one morning and ripped Mike's socket, or his whole receptacle out of the socket.
That's like one of my big. I see it happen. I see guys post about it happening to them all the time. So I think I'm like super anal about my charging cord. Like I check 4 times before I go anywhere to make sure that I unplugged it.
I do too, because it's happened to me one time. I drug it in Sandusky 10 miles.
Why are all these people flashing their lights at me?
Yeah, well, luckily it was 4 a.m. There was nobody out. But when I got there, I'm just staging. My buddy's like, "Hey, dude, you got a cord in the back of your boat." It's all road burned and stuff.
Don't worry, that's just Matt Robertson's hair hanging out the back. No big deal.
Mike also said, "Don't forget the chair at the Classic." So, was there a chair incident apparently too at the Classic? It sounds like
a chair incident.
Yeah, he said, "Don't forget the chair at the Classic." So something.
Pull it
oh
up
gosh! Dang. Yes. Mike had a heck of a week. We had a great time, but I mean, he had some very unfortunate things. Luckily, Mike is one to just get past stuff and laugh.
Yeah.
So we were at the G2 booth, and he leaned over to grab something off the ground, and his foot got stuck in the bar underneath it, and he just tipped over and fell over.
Man, poor Mike. Yeah. So for anybody that's listening, go to g2gemini.com, order up some jerseys. Let's help Mike out.
Show Mike some love.
Show Mike some love.
Buy Gemini jerseys, please.
We need to get the Three Stooges put on the jerseys. You know what I mean? It sounds like a full episode was happening.
Me and Mike would be on there for sure.
That's awesome,
man.
So you pre-fished Kerr. I know you rode towards Charlotte or somewhere and flew home. Before that was Pickwick first event, right?
We were Eufaula.
Or Eufaula. I'm sorry, Eufaula.
Wrong league there.
They're all running together.
Alabama.
All those Alabama legs.
Alabama or Oklahoma, because we learned there's two.
Which Eufaula are we talking about?
You had a pretty good. What's going on, Brian? You had a pretty good tournament.
Yeah,
right?
No, I was pleased to get out of there. I mean, a lot of the guys did really well. Were fishing deep, deeper than I kind of thought they were going to be, just because it had been 85 degrees every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a decent shallow bite, and then I had a little bit of a deep bite, but not super deep. I kind of missed the boat on that deeper thing, that was going on. There were still a lot of fish that were really heavy pre-spawn that I thought would be moving up, and the brush pile thing got so hammered that it was tough you could catch usually one good fish out of a brush pile a day, but not much more. You kind of had to go offshore. But yeah, I got on a shallow thing, and I was thankful. I think I finished 44th, but actually 43rd because someone got disqualified.
Oh, really?
What would they get disqualified for? I missed that. Was it somebody fishing the EQs who got disqualified, or?
Yeah. So
it's actually Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
No.
Mike wasn't even in the tournament, and they disqualified.
I know.
They were like, we're just gonna.
It just seems like something that should happen.
Wait, wasn't it the hole keeper?
No, that wasn't that.
That was it. Yep.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
That's all over the Book of Faces.
By now.
Yeah.
Of the boss.
Everybody's getting sued. I'm the Lake Eufaula boss.
Yeah, let's not talk about
Yeah, we're not going to dive into that.
No,
we will real quick.
That's another story.
Yeah, even though I don't want to. So the walleye guys changed their plea to guilty.
Yes.
And yep, the punishment was laughable.
What was it? They got to fish.
It
for
was
bass
like
the rest of
6
their life?
months probation, 3 years, no license, and they forfeited their boat. It was ridiculous. Like it was sad. So
Where's the boat at?
I'm sure it's gonna. I'm sure it's gonna have the
It's gonna be
county
a-
they lives in
Let me go to the
police
auction.
police on the side of it. You know.
Or be a
These
police
guys
auction.
are out walleye trolling. They're having police like bonding days.
Yeah.
Your community service is picking up trash on the side of the lake.
Jeremy Williams said he met you at Lake Norman last year and that you're a cool guy. Yep, Destin's the coolest guy.
Who said that?
Yeah, Jeremy Williams
Oh, okay.
met you at
Okay.
Norman. The guy
Yeah, I
spot.
was
Yeah,
just at Norman. I left my boat and truck down there at my buddy's Craig, who I travel with. So shout out to him. And I took out some Dur Edge customers. Friend of mine, Josh, who used to work for the Pirates, is now the head guy in Winston-Salem,
okay.
the minor league team. And him and his assistant came down. We fished a little bit, and then I flew out late last night.
Yeah,
Nice.
you posted pictures, right? I thought I saw you.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Spots out at Norman. Yeah.
You got a couple of good spots too.
Yeah, we did. And then they left, and I had like another hour or two to kill before the flight. So I went out and cracked a couple off beds. Nice large mouth, like a 4-pounder.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I saw that largemouth. I said, man, he'd have won Red Crest if he'd have been on that
Oh, gosh.
Might as well just.
Lake Norman's an awesome lake. I mean, I like Norman, Hartwell, Lanier. Like I just like those lakes, man. Just the fact that you got those spots in there, they're just like smallmouth, and
Yeah.
they're just fun to fish.
They are, yeah. The spots make it for interesting. For anybody watching, we'll give a little preview. So we have Corey, who's NC Wildlife fisheries biologist, coming on. He's coming in the studio actually on Monday, and we're gonna talk all that stuff. So the Alabama bass invasion, everybody wants to know where the grass went, all that good stuff. So we're gonna, it's gonna be a little bit focused towards North Carolina, but it's gonna be good information for anybody in the nation. So that one will be coming in a couple weeks.
I like how you say Alabama bass invasion. Like it was like Red Dawn 3. Like
Yeah. As if North Carolina didn't have enough arguing about bugs and cur on the border. Now they got to deal with Alabama invasion. They're fighting a war on multiple fronts here.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not complaining about fighting fish, but I think Norman is a great place to take a kid fishing.
Oh yeah.
Just because they're gonna catch, I think my PB out of Lake Norman's like 12 inches or something like that. But like,
Oh, come on, not 12 and a half.
No, yeah, 12 and a half. But it's a great place to take a kid fishing if you're trying to get them into it. But yeah, they are trying to knock them out though. They want to get rid of those spotted bass, at least reduce the population. So
yeah, you have Norman. They've pretty well taken over. Gaston's another body of water. They've pretty well taken over. There's still some good largemouth in both of them.
Sure.
Locally, but it's one of those things.
The guys locally paid, and they started stocking F1s in Norman. My
Yep.
buddy was one of the ones that did it. And
Yeah, so they have a whole program now too.
yeah, and KBD actually just donated $5,000 to help with that program.
yep.
Yeah, there's a public, I guess, donation deal open up right now to help support that, and we're going to talk to Corey about that, and then we also have the I forget what his actual title is. He's like the BASS conservationist for the state of North Carolina, who's heading that program. We talked to him at the Classic, and he's going to come on and talk the F1 program and how they're trying to set that up. And the state is matching the funding that they raise, so it's there's a big push to try to get the largemouth populations back where they once were.
Very cool. Yeah, I think they're trying to get rid of a lot of spots in Norman, which I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. But yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of guys want the largemouth, to be more prevalent there. But I think they can coexist pretty well.
And Norman sets up in a way that kind of accommodates the spots in the largemouth, just with that deep water, the rock and stuff like that. It's a very overwhelming lake. If you don't have a good map card, there's so many spots, not spotted bass, to fish on that lake. And I've only been up there a handful of times, but
I've actually never been up there.
yeah,
Oh, one second.
That's
Honey,
that's the one.
Up the river.
I've never been to Norman.
I've never been to.
Oh, you
I never
haven't?
went to the hot hole. Like I never went to any of the warm water areas and fished for.
I've
I've only caught spots out of that.
a
Lake.
buddy bought a boat at Foothills there, and I went with him the day he bought it, and we rode around just so he could break his motor in. And that's the only time I've spent on Norman. But I have actually four 2-day tournaments for our club there this year, and then there's a I forget the special operations
Excursion.
excursion with special operations bass anglers are having a benefit tournament there.
That's in November.
Yeah, it's the day before our club classic, which is on Norman. So I'm going to fish it too because I'm going to be there anyway.
November
It's a lot of
12th.
Lake Norman.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to have a lot of Lake Norman like October, November.
There's no spots in PA, right?
Yeah, there is.
No, is there?
Is there?
Yeah, there's Kentucky's.
That's
which
right.
is like the real small ones in the Ohio River and like the Three Rivers.
I don't think I've ever caught one, and I've fished it a lot.
I've only
Kentucky
caught a
for
few.
spots. I've caught them.
I've never caught them in the Ohio.
Yeah,
I've caught
man.
mostly
Oh, not
smallmouth.
in Ohio, but yeah.
Jeremy said that the spots are fun, but they can coexist with, but they need more F1s stocked and at a bigger size. And you're probably right because those spots are so aggressive. They'll just eat all the fingerlings.
I think that was our debate we had here was
that was the thing.
they're stocking
even the largemouth will eat the fingerlings.
And when you look at the guy like Redcrest is a great example. A lot of those guys were throwing a big 6-inch soft tail swim bait or like a 6 to 8 inch glide bait, and we're catching spots on it.
Yeah.
So a 6, 7, 8 inch F1 bass is a snack.
Yeah.
You know. So
what's up, Mike Watson? Good to see you on here, bro.
Anybody fishing related questions, anything that you want us and Destin to answer, make sure you shout them out. Everybody usually does a pretty good job. But
Dustin, did you fish Norman? Was it 2 years ago at the Open? Were you fishing the Opens then, or
It was
it?
the one in the fall. No, I was
Yeah.
in the elites. I didn't fish it.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were.
I fished it. In
They all run together now.
2018. I've fished
Okay.
one pro tournament there. It was 2018. I did pretty good.
okay, yeah.
Mostly targeting spots.
So we talked about it yesterday, and you fished the elites, and obviously qualified for the elites, and then unfortunately didn't qualify again after your 2 years, which is tough for anybody that those 2 years. I think the EQs are going to help people because you get more experience outside of bodies of water that you haven't fished before. But we were talking amongst us about Keith Poche. He's a rookie. And he zeroed that first tournament, and I don't know that he has a chance to requalify. What you have thoughts on that? Because that's a tough one.
Requalify in what sense?
Because it's a rookie year this year, right? On the elites.
Yeah.
So 0 in a tournament, and then trying to balance BPT, which he's doing well in, and he's kind of sacrificing the elites. Have they changed how you requalify for the elites? Because you have 2 years guaranteed, correct?
Well, the thing with that is it's not consistent. So last year, a bunch of guys were supposed to get cut and they didn't.
Huh.
So it's basically just like musical chairs. Like you just unfortunately are stuck on without a chair. Every once in a while when the music stops, but. I don't think he's going to have much of an issue.
Okay.
I think with, he should only miss that tournament. He should be all right.
Yeah.
And we were talking before. It was relatively recently. Who won Angler of the Year and they were finished dead last in a tournament?
I don't think anybody finished dead.
Aaron
had a
Martin's almost finished dead last at Sabine when he won Angler of the Year.
And Paulunick had a really bad tournament and then won. But
it's fairly typical. I mean, even on the EQs, like I was talking to Ish Monroe at the Classic, and he's like, if you look back historically, like the guys that have fished all 9 to make it in the last few years, you have to have a 52nd place average finish. And I was like, if you have 190th place finish, you have 0 chance. And he's like, no, I think so. I mean, if you get a couple top 10s, like it balances out. But I think essentially, like all the guys pretty much had like 100th or worst finish, that have made it through the EQs, basically, I think. So I don't think you can have much worse than like 120th place finish. Yeah.
I think Ava, you got a question? You want to ask your dad?
You got a question?
She had her hand up, like, no,
She's-
you're good. Okay. Yeah. So I think we had talked too, and you had said it was like 40th or 50th somewhere in there that you had to average. So it's a lot of people think that, when you start getting to that level and you're doing that it's all about wins, but there's a lot of points fishing at higher levels, and points are important. And sometimes you hear people ask questions like, well, I don't understand why he made a decision to do that and just go catch 5 fish. And, he could have done this and maybe caught big fish and contended for a top 20, when really it was like he needed those 5 fish to jump 15 spots and get those points. That was almost a guarantee. Catching 5 big ones to get him into the top 10 or whatever isn't a guarantee, and the points are important. So, and I'll say, the one thing I think Bass isn't great at, and they do a lot really good in their tournament series, is like Destin said, when they do cuts at the end of the year, it's like, oh, we're going to do 40 this year, 20 next year. It is sort of all over the place in the way they do it.
For your strategy with the EQs, do you find yourself chasing more of the points to stay consistent rather than big fish to win the derbies?
No. So like times I've struggled in my career is just when like I was just like pushing to win. Like it's a completely different mindset. And a lot of times all I have to focus on is doing the absolute best in the tournament I can. And that's not necessarily like a deviation from just going out and catching every fish you can. A lot of times that's how some of my best tournaments have kind of like materialized. And a lot of people will tell you like that's the best way to consistently finish high, is to just do the absolute best you can as far as trying to catch as many fish and, calling up and doing, catching the big ones. Sometimes that's fishing for 7 bites. Sometimes it's fishing for 30 bites.
Right.
Depends on the fishery and what you're doing. But like times I've struggled is when I've like literally changed my mindset a little bit and like just tried to sell out and try to win, do something I would say more risky, which isn't really the best thing when you're fishing for points,
Yeah,
sure. What's considered risky for you? Like I'll tell you, like I suck at dock fishing. Like I can skip and do all that stuff, but I have zero confidence in throwing in a dock and thinking they're going to be on the pillars or under a floating dock. I suck at that. Like I just don't have any confidence. What do you think your biggest weakness is, like on the trail?
Mine, unfortunately, it's Tennessee River, Alabama,
ledge fishing,
like Coosa, Tennessee River, like those big river impoundments that we just don't have.
Yeah,
like it's been my hardest thing. I've done well at chick in the spring. I understand chick in the spring because I don't have to fish, ledge stuff. That's probably my biggest, issue is that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because usually it's like half our season is the Alabama bass.
A lot of people struggle on those Tennessee River Valley lakes, so that's not something that's unique to you. I mean, I've only fished them twice, and I think I caught 2 fish both times. They were both short, and they're a tough thing to figure out. They're a whole different beast. Real quick, Jeremy Williams said, come see him at Wilkesboro Skyline Marine, Destin. He's got some pretty falcons with your name on it.
Pretty falcons. I have another bird.
Falcons.
You got one of them falcons with my name
Millennium
on
Falcon.
We need
those.
the OneCast Falcon.
That's right.
That's right.
I'm a Phoenix guy, but thank you.
Yeah.
They're all
Falcons are
at the
nice
end of the
boats,
day.
man. There's a few boats that I would say like I would definitely like, and even if I wasn't, but Phoenix is mine, and I don't want any other kind of boat.
Yep. And Brian Franks wants to know, what's your favorite technique?
Wacky rig.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
That's all we were throwing today.
Yeah, pretty much around there right now. That's the deal.
Yeah.
That's what we were throwing at Norman, just because the 2 of the guys I fished with, they really have never fished. The one guy had never fished. So that was the best thing to do.
Needle spin.
There'll be a lot on Sunday.
Right.
Rig.
Frogging.
Yeah. Who doesn't love throwing a frog? For me, it's got to be
Live bait.
Yeah, I love putting a big hook and a shiner under no.
Free lining.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go two. Frog definitely is up there, but it's not something you can do all the time. So like something I can catch fish on year round. Jigs, like I just enjoy jig fishing because there's so many different ways to fish them, and I just love a jig bite.
You're in the right place for being a jig fisherman. I can promise
being able to crank down on them and just hammer them, and it's just fun. Ben, you're probably a jig guy.
Yeah, jig, deep cranking. I have a feeling I'm going to get in the swim bait game now that I've got a taste of it.
He whacked a couple on a mag draft the other day.
Well, yeah, so I haven't ever thrown the big swim baits, so I went out on my little lake, and within 15 minutes of chucking the mag draft, I had like a 4+, and then I had a 5.8 later, and then because they're moving up on beds, so I was like, I'm going big girl hunting and ignoring the bucks that are cruising around. And then yesterday, so that mag draft got torn up, and Pete gave me one of the S waivers from 6 Sense, and so I chucked it around and caught 2 good ones yesterday too, doing that. So that swim bait game, I can see why it gets addicting.
Yeah,
Trey
casting net all day.
Live scope up a school with a cast net.
No, I mean, I like finding fish and knowing I'm going to catch them. So I think deep cranking is probably one of my favorite techniques because I like side scanning for them and getting standoff about 50 to 80 feet and just chucking a large crankbait, knowing I'm going to lay into them. I like the sight. We were out on the lake today. Pete's dad went out with me, and man, we probably saw 25 fish on bed, and I like sight fishing. That's cool, but like it's boring to me. So if I know that I'm going to run into them with like a big deep crankbait and then turn around and throw a shaky head or a Carolina rig at them, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, Trey, you're definitely an offshore guy. I am not. Tim said, "Great show, boys."
You guys are fortunate. I mean, you got both of that going on.
Yeah, we do. I need to spend more time on it because the offshore bite, it's a really good place here to learn that offshore fishing, just because we have everything from brush piles to rocks to flooded timber to everything kind of offshore. So,
but if you take me up north, I'm not opposed to throwing a drop shot and a Ned rig and all that stuff, chasing brownfish. Tim said, "Great show."
Contrary to popular belief, I don't prefer doing that, but that's what we have to do.
I literally hate it.
I don't like it, but I know it'll catch the.
I hate it. There's 3 things I hate: dragging a tube, drop shot, and
gas prices.
All the things.
And gas prices.
And gas prices. Yeah. Tim said, "Great show, boys." Destin, what's your opinion on choosing the colors of baits? And how do you choose the baits on a new body of water?
I mean, I try to keep it simple anymore. It's mostly related to like watercolor and just forage that they have. So most of the time you got, bluegill, some form of a brim, as they call them in the South, like a lot of different, panfish, sunfish. So like with those, a lot of green pumpkins, watermelons. If it's more stained, like a June bug, for a shell cracker, something like that, because they get those big, like purpley, black face kind of the shell crackers do. So it's a good imitation of that. June bug and black can also be decent in clear water, even up north too, like that tannic kind of water. That's why they're good in Florida, like that tannic water. I think June bug and black and blue are really good options. But in dirty water, black and blue, black and red, June bug, white shows up good, chartreuse, like those are the main ones for dirty water. Orange too, orange or red. So like, orange blades on your spinner bait, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Clear water, like those are your good brim imitations, the green pumpkins, the watermelons, shad, like more translucent, grayish, shad kind of colors. Those are pretty much, my favorites for like clear and stained water, dirty water.
Yeah. I mean, that's a staple, like green, black and blue, black and white, and for full disclosure, we got Big Pete, my wife and Pete's wife out there cracking up. They just grilled elk meat, elk burgers, and walleye from Lake Erie, and I don't know what else they grilled. Some squash and stuff.
Walleye,
like
some squash.
Yeah. Maybe some bass. For those of you listening, we got some bass on the grill.
It's some bass.
Yeah. So like Destin said, for me, if you look at my boat, it's green pumpkin, black and blue, white, I usually have some gray or translucent white kind of color, and that's about the only 4 colors. Then I carry a bunch of different dyes. I can add some different colors I need to. If I was going to Florida, like you said, June bug, blue. They like that green pumpkin blue a lot down there. It seems like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that color.
Black with a blue tip.
Yep.
Really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, you can just keep it really simple.
But it depends on the time of the year too. Like we were out there bed fishing today, and Pete's dad's like, "What color do you recommend?" I was like, "It doesn't matter. They throw it in their bed. Throw it in their bed. They're gonna eat it." We went from, whatever that I can't say it, methyolite to green pumpkin to black and blue to translucent. It did not matter. They were eating it, and it was like, they're not eating it because they're hungry. They're eating it because they're in their bed. You could throw a hot dog in there. They're going to chow it down.
I mean, I pretty much bed fish with white just because you can see it and I can see how the fish reacts. And especially on our lakes here, a little bit dirtier water, they tend to spawn a little bit deeper because as the water levels have risen and sediment and all that, it pushed them, to the old bank lines and thing. And I know when that white disappears, hopefully it's in their mouth. Sometimes it's not, and then you got to put them back. But that's sort of my go-to if I have to bed fish.
That's a question for you. So, and I just thought about this right now. Apparently I'm a genius, but when you're bed fishing in dirty water and you can't see your bait, do you change the color of your line to see your line running?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of guys like to use like a chartreuse braid, if you're throwing a spinner rod.
Mm-hmm.
With a bait caster, I haven't really done that much. But like a fluorescent line is pretty useful on a spinner rod just to be able to see, the fish moving with it better.
Yep.
Yeah,
I use Cortland braided line. I really love the product that they have, and on all my spinning rods I use a fluorescent like yellow or whatever the case may be, and that's exactly what I do. I'll put like a 3.5 foot leader on there of fluoro coated actually. And that's exactly what we do. We'd soak that wacky worm today, wouldn't even move it, and you just see the line start swimming out, just like wham. So we put a couple, I think like 3 or 4, 4.5 pound fish in, a bunch of buck bass and stuff like that. And that's the way you got to catch them when that water's stained and you can't see the bite. Like, you got to watch your line,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just taking people out fishing, like you just realize how many bites you do miss just by not feeling it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I'll be watching, I'll be like, all right, he's got it. And they just won't set the hook or something. And I'm like, you already spit it out.
Yeah.
That happened to me a couple times yesterday. I'm sitting there watching him, flares his gills, starts to pick it up, and then spits it out before we even have time to set the hook.
Yeah, they're like a cheap Walmart vacuum cleaner. Like they suck it up, but then they spit it out again. Like it's like, what's going on? Might as well buy a Hoover.
That's a bed fish. So Bradley asked, I prefer a little bit of tip on my frog rod. What's your frog setup? We'll go around the room. I'll go first. I use the Cash and Icon 7'4" heavy fast. It's got a lot of tip, and then I throw it on. I actually switched reels. I've been with Daiwa forever, but I got a good deal on some 13 fishing, like 200 size. I like a 200 size and an 8 to the fastest you can get. So I think that one's an 8.2 to 1 or 8.3 to 1, and then 65-pound braid for me.
Yeah, I've got that 7.4. I got that 7.4 cash in too. I don't remember what reel I have on it. I switched them around.
Zepco.
Yeah, he's got the.
Yeah.
I got the 7.
Yeah,
the new Zepco. The one that the bait caster, right? Don't they? No,
they do have a bait.
They have a bait caster. Yeah.
No. It's I think it's a Daiwa on that one, but I don't remember.
I have the 7-foot Cashin John Cruz frog rod. I might get the 7.4. The 7 foot is a little stiff. It doesn't have a lot of action in the tip, but you can definitely tell you can whack them out of something. Like there's a lot of backbone in that rod, and I use a Abu Garcia Revo for that. I think it's like an 8.2 to 1 or something like that. So, but yeah.
Destin?
Yeah, I like something like about 7.2 to 7.4. And it really depends on how tall you are to me, because a lot of times you're holding it close to the water, so you don't want to be hitting the water a lot. So for me, 7.2 to 7.4. A lot of times I'll use an extra heavy, but it's got to have a little bit of flex. But I just want that extra heavy for the backbone, in the rod, so I can jam them in like thick cover and just rip them out of there quick. And obviously, like you guys said, like a faster gear ratio reel, for me, like a 7 to an 8. When I go a little bit more than that in the thick cover, like say like a Revo Rocket or something, like a 10, it's almost too fast.
much.
You can't turn the handle when you're stuck in that stuff. Like you can't like turn it, quick enough.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll like jam the reel a little bit, so it's not ideal for that. So yeah, I like a 7 to 8.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, I like the 200 size reel just because you get a little bit extra power there. I actually ate the gears out of 100 and like a 110 or whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to crank
Yeah,
it.
gears frogging.
Yeah, it didn't work out too
I
well.
use all braid. I mean, it'll depend. If I'm not fishing heavy cover, it'd be 50 pound. If I'm fishing slop, it'll be like 65 pound.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
exactly.
Christy uses Sunline. Yeah, that Sunline with the fluorescent orange, 4 foot of normal fluorocarbon. Yeah, I've seen that.
Destin, I got a question for you, Froggin. Do you tie your braid directly to the frog?
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
Yeah, usually. So once in a while, like I'll put a split ring on it, so it'll just give it a little bit better walk to it.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you got a really heavy duty one so you don't bend it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, I wish you could like weld a little metal ring around the eyelet and then tie it on there, because then it's going to move, a little more freely side to side.
Yep. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna have to try that pro tip
I've
out.
tried like loop knots and stuff, but I don't like necessarily putting all the torque on like that loop.
Yep.
As much. Like
I gotta tie a Palomar, man, because that scares me to death.
Yeah, right. That's usually what I tie to. But I've messed with the loop knot, and I haven't had any major issues. But it helps it walk better, like kind of like you would with a popper or something.
Yeah, I do like the loop knot on like a stick bait or a walking bait, especially for smallmouth.
Brian threw out, I like braid with a 2 foot mono leader on there. For frogging? For frogging, Brian? I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah, because he's talking about frogging up above because he uses the Falcon Expert.
Some heavy duty mono, maybe?
Some old big game.
Some big game.
Yeah.
Good old trilene big game.
Good old trilene big game.
Yeah.
That's some big boy stuff right there.
I mean,
Catching king salmon with that.
I can promise here where I'm frogging that mono would not survive, and you would lose a lot of fish. So I would
think like maybe like more open water, like kind of
open water,
talking about like 50 pound maybe, but definitely not thick cover.
Especially with as many bowfin or mudfish or dogfish, whatever you want to call them, especially with as many of those as that we catch around here, like I feel like they would bite right through that mono, or
no, it wouldn't last.
Yeah.
They'd start that death roll and it'd be all in their scales, and that would be the end of that.
Yep.
Yeah, not heavy cover. Yeah, you're in Oklahoma, I think, if I remember right, Brian. So it's probably not like we're fishing the heavy cover that we fish. So
Well, they said
what else we got?
They said have cover. What did you see at the? I want to rewind back to the classic. What stuck out? Stuck. Jeez, too many Kool-Aids. What stuck out to you at the classic? Like anything new that caught your eye?
I mean, the OneCast fishing booth, of course.
Boom, shakalaka.
But seriously, you guys did good. Like I liked your booth setup, and it was always super busy when I came by and talked to you guys, or just had to wave because you were tied up. But yeah, you guys look good. As far as baits and stuff, honestly, I was pretty good. I didn't buy much.
Not like Pete.
You guys were kind of like diagonal from cast fishing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
They had some cool new swim baits. I went over and got some stuff from them. I've known those guys for a while. I got one of their new. It's a smaller of the OG, which was like a giant top water plug. It's a little bit smaller, like a normal bass kind of sized one. In like a chrome, super chrome one. It's called River Gray. I was excited to get that for herring lakes.
Heck yeah.
Didn't you buy that, Pete?
I bought some last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they made a smaller size in those.
Yeah, the one I have is a little bit big. I've been throwing.
Yeah, I've got a few of those ones that are like that. Gigantic.
Well, I think if I remember right, they're an Australian company, so they created them for saltwater fishing and then for barramundi.
You're right.
A little bit bigger than the largemouth and stuff that we're chasing. No, but I know they had a lot of success on Lanier because I think they're local down towards that way, aren't they?
Yeah. So I don't know if he's an owner necessarily. President Ryan Hanks, he's from around there. Yeah. So they do a lot of shooting on Lanier and catch some giant mag spots on those. Believe it or not, those giant ones too.
Mhm. That's what convinced me.
OGs.
That's how they convinced me to buy them. They were showing me them catching those spots.
Whatever.
And I was like, yeah.
And Pete bought one of everything.
I only bought.
Yeah.
So
collections is in the
listen,
mail
man.
right now.
Listen, man.
He maxed out his Amex card.
I did buy 2 packs of their new the 6-inch swim baits that they had.
Those are sick.
They looked really good.
Yeah.
I bought 3 glide baits. That was all I bought. So like 5
he's gonna lose him the first try.
What glide baits did you end up getting? I wanted to buy some of Buka's stuff, but a tater hog, but I didn't end up getting either.
So I bought a tater hog. I bought 2 tater hogs.
That's why you couldn't buy them, because Pete bought
I bought
them
a Hogfather and a
No
junior.
wonder.
And then I got a one of the KGB Legends that they just released. I didn't get over to see Mike, but I have a few of his glides and stuff.
Yeah, because you picked some up last year at the Raleigh show, right?
Yeah. I picked some up at Raleigh last year, and then I bought some this year at Red Crest off of them.
Yeah.
I'll just throw a Cinco. And in fact, Tim asked about Destin. He said, "I know Cincos are popular. How popular are they with the professionals, and what size, color, and techniques are most used?"
There's not one guy that doesn't throw a Senko. I promise you. I don't care if they're sponsored by Big Bite or whoever. They're throwing a Senko.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, dude, you go on somebody's deck, they got Senkos.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5-inch. I mean, that's your general one.
And I think a lot of guys confuse Cincos with just stick baits in general. But
Correct.
Yes, everybody throws. I don't know anybody who doesn't throw a stick bait unless they're in that like glide bait cult or whatever. You know,
Yeah, them
like
guys.
those
Cult.
guys in there. Yeah, but still, like everybody
Which
throws
Ben is now being initiated.
Yeah, Ben is joining the call.
I have thrown the a Senko wacky rig once, probably the last 4 or 5 years.
What?
One time?
And that was last year. And the spawn was weird last year. They moved up on a Friday, and by the time I could get out the next Friday, they had spawned and there was fry everywhere. I was like, well, the only way I'm going to catch these guarding bass is the wacky rig sink, because I was trying the Ned, I was trying to force other stuff, and it doesn't work, so I had to back off.
You can't. They can't resist it. I don't know what it is about that bait or that action or whatever, but it could be a Tootsie Roll. And you wacky rig it, they're gonna eat.
I'm
it.
gonna be completely
so
honest. Like a Senko, no matter how you rig it, is the stupidest looking bait in the world. It makes absolutely no sense.
Fish.
Oh, it catches fish.
Catches fish.
Hey, look at that dice cube thing and look at how that worked. I mean, look, it's crazy what will catch a bass.
Did you look at that Yamatanuki, that new Yamamoto bait they came out with?
God bless you.
Yeah, dude. So my
did well on
sponsor
that.
owner was in the McKee's booth right by you guys.
Yeah,
and I went back there, and dude, those Yamatanukis they had were like all sold out, like immediately.
Yeah.
I got one package that he had left. It was like a deep purple, not even a good.
Yeah, that
color,
was the only one they had left.
I just
was
wanted
that
to
deep
see
purple.
what it looked like.
The deep purple?
It's like
it was
pinkish
like a
purple.
pinkish purple.
Oh,
Maybe
It'll
like
work.
maroon. Yeah, maroon. So
I'm a flicking on a bed on Sunday on Harrison,
Like a
jacking
booger.
over, you know. But yeah, so those baits intrigue me because they got. I think the Senko, and Destin, you could probably piggyback on this, but I think the reason that it's so good is because it's so unassuming.
Sure.
It's just got a little subtle movement. It doesn't overwhelm a fish. And then wacky rigged, however you rig it, it just kind of flutters there and they just can't resist it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate it because it's no fun to catch
It's
them.
the only way I caught fish today in the last 3 days, minus the spinner bait. Is the only way.
Oh,
Did you
when
throw the
they're
net at all?
around bedding
No.
season,
that's fine.
there's nothing better.
No,
Yeah.
you need a Senko and a flipping rod, and that's like bedding season. And that's it.
The glides and that have come on too, but really the best bait is still a Sango around the spawn, just because so many of them are neutral, not really wanting to commit to something aggressive, and you can always catch them on that.
Yeah. Terry said it looks like a dangler hamburger. Yeah. I guess if you wacky rigged a hamburger and floated her down in front of us in this room, somebody'd probably grab a hold of her.
Yeah, I think so.
It takes me so much to tie one on.
Really?
Oh, a lot of people don't like it.
Well, because I much rather flip a Ned around, a really light Ned and a little small, try to get that unassuming look.
Yeah. Ben was really early on the BFS train, so he's been like BFS Ned rigs on a bait caster and stuff. for you. I mean, you were the first one that I ever met that did it. And then I was like, yeah, I got to try that.
I mean,
And
it's so much nicer.
it is, but it's still not one of my go-tos.
I just tell you, Pete's dad and I, we fished behind like 3 or 4 different guys today, and they're power fishing, flipping. Oh, didn't get bit. They'd reel it back and they'd move on 5-10 feet, flip again, flip again, flip again. We go behind them. We're just letting the Cinco like swell up in the water. We were letting it sit there so long, and we're just 4-pounder, 4-pounder, 4-pounder. And I was like, don't tell anybody this. This is a secret.
Everyone knows now.
Everyone knows. It's just like
Yeah.
Bendo. Like a lot of people don't want to do it.
They don't. I don't want to do it, but I want to catch fish, so I'm going to do
Yes.
it. You know?
Yeah.
Some of it's a pride thing, but the other thing is that stuff is so far down in my tackle compartment and all. I don't want to have to like unpack my entire boat while I'm out there to find the giant package of Senkos I
A
have
box
down
of
there.
worms.
Yeah.
It's sitting in my back left pocket. I got a bag. I use my junk bait. I have a cardboard box underneath my, mini Bass Pro Shops, and it's all my junk tackle. And I'll just, what trash bait am I going to take today? And that's what I'll throw in the boat, and then I'll use that to pre-practice or whatever the case may be. So and they get bit. It doesn't matter what color it is.
Oh yeah, they definitely get bit.
Yeah. Much rather catch them on like a spinner bait or something.
Or deep cranking
me
or a
too.
frog or whatever else, So
Me too.
Put a 2-inch nail in the head of and pop it off the rocks. You'll pass out. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. I hear that, Terry. The old nail weight in there. They do it does have its time and place.
Oh, I did throw a Nico rig.
Yeah, did you get bit at all?
Oh yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, I think sometimes that fall rate matters, and the more you let it sit in this, they're not even striking it. The more, especially when we're talking bed fishing, the more you let it just sit in front of their face, they're just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But I think the heavier bait that you have, our tendency is to move it faster. You know what I mean? So like naturally speaking, if you have a weightless bait, you're just going to give it more time because you have to. But the heavier I have it, 3/8 ounce, like flipping, that's not heavy weight, but I'll still move it too fast.
Yeah.
I'll go behind myself and fish with a wacky rig. Boring, but I'll catch them, So it's just forcing function.
I agree. And Destin, I'm sure you can speak to this, but when we watch guys like your level, the elites, anybody that fishes at a high level professionally, the way they're able to flip into something and let that bait soak, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
And it's
That's the biggest takeaway I have from watching all the live coverage is
Exercise tactical
when
patience.
those like they'll make 10 flips to the same lay down, and each flip, like, it's not in and out, it's in, and they'll raise it up and down and let it sit and soak. And it takes a lot of patience. You also have confidence that the fish are right there in that area, because if you're trying to cover water, it makes it difficult. But
yeah,
that's what practice is for.
Fishing the spawn is fun. It's frustrating, but the nice thing is the last 3 days I've been on the water, I haven't turned forward facing sonar on one time, and that was awesome. That was like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? But I should probably do it.
Yeah, because
just to see
if you probably pan out in those pockets, you can probably get those big girls sitting out there.
Fish.
But dude, like, I mean, the herring, they were telling me the story today. There was a lot of like just natural things telling me the story today, and I feel like I would have missed them if I would have been staring at my screen. So I don't know. It's an art.
I
man.
got you.
I got to get better, because I had my forward-facing sonar, my active target. I had it sitting in my garage for 2 years. I just got to put on my boat this year, or I guess this past year. So I haven't had it very long, and I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah, I think it takes about 3 months to get comfortable, especially if you haven't used it before. But you need to go out and play with it, because it's going to be a really good tool, especially right after the spawn and when they're starting to get offshore again and doing all that. It's going to be very useful. So I run active target as well.
Yep.
Tim, we talked to Destin earlier. I don't know if you missed it, but he said frogging is his favorite technique. But what is your Tim also asked, what's your least favorite bait and technique?
Besides wacky rig Senko, because I think
I don't
We've all
mind
covered it.
wacky rig. Actually, it's one of the things I probably do best, even though it's like not my favorite thing to do. What's my least favorite thing to do? Probably like Carolina rig or something.
Yeah. It's pretty boring.
Even though that's something else I'm decent at too. I end up doing stuff that I don't necessarily like. That's probably why why I
Man, I hate Carolina rig.
do
It's the
good
same
when
way.
I
I'd much
finally
rather
just tear
drag it.
down and do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and place. Like I think Pete and I are both the same way. We much rather just drag a jig along out there.
I understand it's the same thing, but there's something about the Carolina rig that makes it worse.
No,
You know what I don't?
well, you're going sideways, and you.
I miss so many fish too because of that.
Because
Because
we're
you're
talking
wearing
about
that like hook set when they pick it up, and you gotta, you gotta set to the side, and it.
Well, you got all that leader too. So
Yeah.
like when they take it and they're coming at you, you got to reel up so much line to get it taut. And then if you get it taut too quickly and you don't set it, they just spit it out.
That's
Yep.
it. Yeah. You know what? You know what's crazy to me is like I wouldn't call them novice anglers because I think I'm a novice, but like when you get somebody out on the water and they throw a Texas rig in like 18 foot of water, you know, I don't do that.
It's
I
very
know,
effective.
I know guys that do.
It's
that.
very effective.
I don't do it, you know, and I'm like, how are you?
I caught a
doing
big
it?
one on Jordan one time doing that.
Just Texas rigging.
Yeah,
just
quarter,
drag it
quarter
like a
rounds
jig
Texas.
or-
I mean, I guess it's really no different than a Carolina rig, except you're going to get a better hook set. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, it's just, I don't do that. Like if I'm throwing something out deep, it's going to be a shaky head or a jig.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm the same.
but maybe maybe I'm missing something, you know? So,
All
Well,
right, folks.
throw a Carolina rig, but it's definitely not. fun.
yeah, no, it's
And
not.
they just stink to cast.
Well, I don't do Carolina rigs. I do a Texas rig with a double peg up top, double peg below the weight, and I'll just slide it up, and that's the way. I guess that's lazy, you know, but I do it that way.
Efficient.
Yeah, efficient.
It's fishuational, dude. You know,
Fish, yeah,
fishing.
I love that fish weight.
And think about it. When you do that, now you have less connections.
it is. It's
So-
you know, you had 3
Less
points
knots.
versus 1 point,
Mhm.
right? Yep, that's right. Less opportunity
true.
for error. So
I feel it.
that's
We're
I like
coming
the
up on
beads,
an hour.
though. I like
The
the beads.
beads.
yeah. But you can throw those on Texas rig though too.
You could.
Yeah.
But I was just assuming that you weren't on that.
That's what we should do.
The
We
only
should
time I put a bead on a Texas rig is
clip on
when I'm bed
beads.
fishing. There's something about a red bead on a Texas rig when you're bed fishing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I put weight red bead pegged, and then like I said, I almost only use a weight bait, but that's just because I can see it.
Hmm.
And it's
I
like
don't know.
clacking against your weight.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, just hit them in the head as many times as you can, and eventually they'll pick it up. Usually.
We're coming, Papa Pete.
Yeah,
we're coming.
We're getting to an hour, so we usually wrap it up in an hour. I'm going to give Destin a chance. I know he did it during our podcast with him, but I want to make sure that he gets an opportunity to shout his sponsors out. I'm going to let him do that now. If anybody that's listening has any last minute questions, go ahead and put those in, and we'll get him after he shouts them out. But Destin, let us know the companies that let you do this for a living and who people can help support.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, last time I talked about DurEdge, we manufacture like infield mixes for baseball fields and softball as well. We're kind of getting into the meat of our year now that the pro baseball starting and college is kind of almost to the end of their regular season and stuff. Well, middle of their season. And so that's my main sponsor. They've been great and supported this fishing. So definitely check them out. We do local fields all over the country. I mean, if you got a T-ball, whatever, I mean, we can handle anything. We also do packaged products. So we have distributors all over the country. You can just pull into like a Site One or any of those landscape stores, and most of them have them too. So check them out. Centimark, great roofing company. They've been with me from get-go. Angler Tungsten, I didn't talk about that at the Classic. That's definitely a bait that you were going to want to have. I just got some, so I didn't have to buy them, thankfully. But the Eclipse swim bait head that I helped design, it's tungsten, so it shows up really good on your forward facing. And it gives a lot of sensitivity with that tungsten. It's got a screw lock keeper in it, keeps your bait straight. You can get more fish out of it because that screw lock is better than it's like a centering pin or like a pin because it doesn't rip your bait as much. So check that one out, the Eclipse head. That one's been a hot commodity since it came out. Who else should I talk about? Turwit Realty. He's been with me for the last few years, my buddy Phil. So thank you. If you're looking for anyone down in Florida area, if you're looking to relocate, he handles most of the state. So you can definitely check him out. And if even in your area, he can help hook you up with like top realtors in the area as well. And what else should I tell? X2 batteries. So that was my main thing at the Classic. I was with X2. They're available at all the Batteries Pluses, which are all around the country. They're based out of Wisconsin, and actually came to X2 when I had a problem in an Elite Series tournament my rookie year with power at Interstates at the time, and I went to go to Batteries Plus and get the best battery they could have for cranking, and I got an X2. And ever since then, I've been in love with them, and I got hooked up with them about 2 years later. And
Nice.
really like working with them. And now they just came out with lithiums this past year, and I'm running 2 31 AGM blue X2s and 3 100 amp hour X2 lithiums, and it's a dang powerhouse in the back of my boat. So check it out.
Yeah, I think with X2, the cool thing is the whole Batteries Plus deal. And I know I looked locally, a lot of the local ones are carrying the lithium batteries too. So no matter where you are, if you have an issue with your X2 battery, there's probably a Batteries Plus close by. They can do the warranty if it's out of warranty, whatever.
The new lithiums have 10-year warranty.
There you go. Yeah, 10-year, and you can run and get them at a store. You're not waiting for somebody to ship them from somewhere else in the country. So that's
you don't want to get caught without a battery at a tournament, or it goes bad and you can't even find it at the store. But there's a Batteries Plus literally everywhere in the country. So
I thought you were going to say you don't want to get caught with your battery pants down. I don't know why.
Battery pants.
So one more question. This will end us, and this is a good one because I have my opinion. So Tim again wants to know, what's your opinion on rattles in crankbaits, whipless cranks, jigs? Do you use them or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say more and more at these places that are getting so much pressure, I find myself going more to silent baits. There's certain situations if it's really dirty and stuff, you want to be getting attention to your bait. So like rattles and stuff are really useful there. And even sometimes in, less clear situations, if it's not quite as pressured. But when these places are getting pressured all over the country and people can see all the fish with forward facing, like going to silent baits, it really helps you, in those situations where they're just getting bombarded and it's less aggressive, so that's I'd still do, but I'm more on the silent side a lot of the times now.
Yep, I'm getting the same way. I noticed even with crankbaits, a lot of times if I know the fish are there and they're not biting, I'll go to a silent one and I'll pick a few fish up. So it could be as much in my head as it isn't, but it definitely seems to make a difference, especially here where every lay down gets pounded with a square bill in the fall and everything like that. So just doing something different. Yeah. So Destin, man, appreciate you jumping on. I know it was kind of last minute. We'll definitely have you back on more of these because
enjoyed it.
We want to keep going through your the EQs this year and just your vast knowledge. I know people like to ask questions. So if you hang out for a minute, I'm gonna pop you down in the waiting room. We're gonna say a word and then we'll catch up with you real quick before we log off for the night. So
sounds good. Yeah, thanks guys. Anytime.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. All right, folks. Appreciate you all joining tonight. I know there was a little bit of an issue at the beginning, but we got it worked out. I'll plug that, onecastfishing.com has been scrolling across the bottom of the screen the whole time. Head over there, use the code the OneCast to save 10% off your order. Check out the snagless jigs, long neck hooks. Bunch of new people got them in their hands at the Classic, and we'll be out there trying them. So you better get up with competition because they're going to be bringing them to your local lake. And if you don't have them, you're going to wish you did. So anything last stuff from y'all guys tonight?
Yeah, head on over to Spotify, Apple Tunes, all the good media platforms. Check out our podcast. We got multiple episodes dropped right now. Great educational pieces. Again, that code applies. Check us out. Write us a review. Share it with your friends. Let us know what you think. Really appreciate the support.
I'm good. You guys covered it. Have a good night.
Awesome. Y'all have a good night.